been here for 15 years. It's home to me. That's why I personally am working so hard to make it better here through all the other things that I'm doing, because I don't want it to be this bad for anybody else or anybody else to have a hard time, like especially like I was having in the beginning. And I would like to see this town grow and evolve and be better for anybody, actually, just anybody.
So you seen anybody, or?
No.
No?
It's hard to find someone in the gay community so small here, and
Yeah, I've always found it hard to meet people here as well.
yeah. It's not as bad as it used to be, I don't think, but it's still hard.
Yeah, a small crowd here for sure, especially when
Yeah.
you hang out at all the close-knit bars downtown.
Yeah.
The same people every weekend, you know?
Absolutely. Dating in Fort McMurray is a struggle. We already have a small gay community compared to other cities. I'm too out and I'm too outspoken to be someone to date. It took me a long time to come out from the time I realized I was gay, so I don't judge anybody for it. I definitely wish there was more options for people out here. Growing up, I never pictured myself to be single at this age. I thought I would be in a committed relationship and maybe even wanting to start looking at adoption and stuff like that, but it's the hands you're dealt, and so make the best of it.
Oh, I like that. So I'm a forester. I enjoy being outside, and in the analytical world of being a scientist, things are very black and white, but photography is not. It's one of these things where you're trying to capture feelings and these ephemeral sort of touches and that type of stuff. One of my struggles as a child, and especially in sort of junior high, high school, was finding my place. I actually went to a private Christian school where homosexuality was seen as a sin and disgusting, and also as a choice. And I think one of the things that I really struggled with was essentially sort of seeing, okay, I think I'm gay, but apparently if I try hard enough, I could be straight. I bought into this notion that if I get a good job, if I make a lot of money, if I get the nice car and I buy the house and sort of go through this like mental checklist, eventually I will arrive at happiness somehow. The reality is that I live in a world that wasn't built for me. The reality is that I live in a world that is really made for Caucasian people who are straight.
A lot of people have a preconceived notion that Fort McMurray is just a place to go and make money and leave, that it's a dirty oil town. Fort McMurray has a great community. Sometimes you have to go out and find it. I moved here at a time when I was coming out. I was really finding myself, and I got a really good friend base here, and the job opportunities have really kept me here too. It was a couple months before I told anybody at work. Most of them were very surprised because they have a notion that someone who's gay isn't going to fit into that oil industry. But I've even had my coworkers say to me, they're like, "We don't care. You're a good worker. You get your job done. You know your stuff. So that's all we care about, is that you're a good teammate. We don't care about anything else."
see some jobs listed right now are heavy equipment field technician for Wajax. I'm not a mechanic, so that doesn't work.
Right.
Heavy equipment field technician. So this one is pretty good at Suncor, which is one of the oil sites.
Which is why you were looking.
When I first decided to come out of work, I worked in there for about 6 months and they laid me off. I've always worked every day, or like I've always had a job, or I've always had, it's literally the longest period of time off I've had in I don't even know how long, and it felt like I had no purpose. I got called for an interview and I went out there, and at first it didn't seem like an issue and I killed the interview. It was probably the best interview I've ever done in my entire life. I felt so amazing about it. They said they would call in a couple of days either way and let me know, and they did. And all they said when they called was they were gonna go with somebody less complicated. The other one, I went out there for the interview and I went in and there was just the one guy that called me in the office, and I said, I'm here for my interview. And he said, he just literally looked me up and down and he said, yeah, we're gonna go with somebody else. I was embarrassed. I guess I was kind of angry, mostly embarrassed, but I don't know, insulted? I don't know. It was like a flood of emotions. I just was like, oh, okay. And I left, like, I don't even know what to say.
Fort McMurray, it's a place that really enabled me to be something that I'm not. I was closeted, and I was also really trying to be straight. I think what the Fort McMurray wildfire did is it was the catalyst for me, that crucible of going through something really, really difficult. That drive from Fort McMurray to my parents' house in Edmonton was just devastatingly lonely. You know, I didn't have somebody in my life that I was evacuating with. I was leaving a whole bunch of stuff that I just kind of didn't even care about. That emptiness just kind of engulfed me. When I got to my parents' house, I did my same thing that I always do, and that was to try and pretend that everything was okay. I think that was the beginning of a whole bunch of mental illness and struggles that I would really, really try and personally manage in a devastating way. I think you recognize that we're not moving towards a destination of happiness, that your life is what you make it in this moment. It's not worthwhile being in the closet. It's not worthwhile waiting for retirement. It's not worthwhile to try and make yourself happy with a whole bunch of other things. This moment might be the only thing you actually have. And driving through that fire is that recognition that the things that matter to you need to matter right now.
I grew up in Bancroft, Ontario, which is a town of less than 2,000 people. It's very small, very conservative. It's not the best place to grow up if you're gay, that's for sure. That was very clear that the expectations for me were to follow a male-dominant industry, to just always be like my father. Fag was a common word. It was that I would hear about other people, and then as I grew older, it was often directed towards me. It definitely takes a toll on you, and it got to the point when I was 15 that I felt like I couldn't live with my family anymore, so I decided to go out on my own. An open letter to my dad. You wanted to raise a son like you. You wanted a son who was strong, determined, and compassionate. You wanted a son that would hunt and fish and who would have kids and teach them those things too. Believe it or not, you got the son you wanted. I spent years hating myself, wishing that I could change who I was. I tried to kill myself because I thought death would be better than to disappoint all of you. You've asked me to hide who I am and to act like someone I'm not. I'm sorry, Dad, but I won't. I won't hate or hide myself anymore. I will take pride in who I am. I will learn with an open mind and teach with an open heart. I will forgive those who direct their hate towards me because they need love. I will not hold grudges or resentment, and I will accept that everyone needs to learn at their own pace. If you need space, you can have it. When you're ready to talk, to accept me as I am, I will be here. Until then, I'll be here waiting, living my life with the values you taught me, but may have forgotten yourself. For me, drag is an artistic outlet to really bring out a lot of suppressed things that I grew up with. When I came out, it was still very much like, don't do anything feminine. Then I moved to Halifax, and I was seeing somebody, and they had done drag a couple times. They were so empowering. They had complete command of this audience. They were entertaining. They had me laughing, and I was just like, I can do that. I want to try that. So yeah, that's how I started, and I just kept growing my art form from there.
Fort McMurray's, it's a hard town to get out of anyway, but my kids are here, so I wouldn't leave right now anyway. My girls mean everything to me. Honestly, if they moved, I'd follow them. I need them. They're like little superheroes that don't even realize how many times they saved my life.
Her children still call her daddy, and that word obviously is very closely associated with a he, her pronoun, or he, him pronoun. So when the girls are here and it's daddy, 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 I'll slip and I'll say the wrong one, and it's just I feel awful. Every time the wrong pronoun is used with her, it hurts her so deeply, and people don't understand how much it hurts because it invalidates who she is.
I call him Chad sometimes. His name is Cindy. He knows that's going to happen to me. Kathy don't like it that I call him Chad, but I've had Chad for 30 years. Sorry. I've had him for 30 years. It's hard for me to change. Like, I'm very tore. I'm very hurt. And I'm not hurt because he's transgender, don't get me wrong. I'm not. I'm hurt because I don't know how to get it taken from a man to a woman. I don't know that part yet. It's still a struggle. A family that was together, very close, like we always been together, split.
The point is, nobody's upset with anybody. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes there's trouble, sometimes there's this, sometimes there's that.
Well, I was sat to the table last week when I was there on Sunday, and Kathy turned her back and rolled her eyes. And I seen it because we mentioned it as soon as we got to work out.
My parents love me very, very much. That I'm 100% sure of. And I don't think they'll ever kick me out of their lives or anything like that. It's just difficult for a lot of people, and they're dealing with it.
Oh, what you doing? Come on. What are you guys doing?
I came out a couple years ago, and that's when I came out to my family. So Jen is my fiance. We met about a year and a half ago now. We met online, and the two of us it kind of clicked when we had coffee at a Starbucks in Edmonton. It's one of these things where I never expected that I could share all of my struggles, all of my misgivings, and all of the things that I'm super ashamed about, and just have someone accept me exactly as I am. Earlier this year, I left my big corporate job and took a job at the local college here, teaching Indigenous students how to do environmental monitoring. My philosophy for sort of building my best life and taking advantage of all of the things that Fort McMurray has as I'm here is to make decisions that are true to the person that I am.
Everybody say good morning to Sima. Say hi, Sima. Good morning.
Hi, everybody.
All right.
Yeah, sure. Lovely is different. Can be black or white. Tall and short. Lovely is you and lovely is me. We are all lovely.
Good job. Wow. All right.
Drag is a tool for me to really get out there and make a connection, make a difference. I want to be a role model for kids that might be questioning their gender or their sexuality, or even just for kids that need to learn about acceptance and just accepting people how they are.
Said no more drag queens jumping on the bed.
Good job. Yay.
So mom wrote to the library, and she has 2 kids. One of them, assigned female at birth, is wanting to present as male, and the other son was not accepting of their sibling. After seeing us, they went home and they were super excited. They told their sibling all about us. Because there's definitely been days where I think it's easier just to quit everything and to move away to a bigger city. But every time I feel like that, I get one of those messages from a parent that just says, what you're doing is making a difference. And so for me, that makes all the difference. It makes me want to stay here and makes me keep going.
So coming out as transgender is like literally the best and worst thing in my life. It's so hard to describe because you're going through literally these horrible things for coming out as who you are, but you get to deal with them as who you are.
Oh my God, we got a hilarious show for you guys tonight.
The same person who a couple of years ago couldn't go into a Walmart store now does stand-up comedy in front of hundreds of people. Some of my shows were 300 plus people. And that is something I couldn't even fathom before. So
I came out about 1.5 years ago, actually, and I have been working on things with my transition, like my voice, but I actually have a medical condition that makes my voice so deep and hard to change. It's my penis. No, but seriously, I'd give my left nut for a more feminine voice.
it's like I'm fighting the fight here, and some of the bigger cities have already had that fight, so it's a little easier and a little more relaxed. Here, it's like we're on the front lines, just working on changing it now.
Cindy Rivers on, everybody, keep it going for them. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.